Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, here to share with you my weekly current catalog video and blog, where I feature products from a current Stampin' Up! Catalog. And let me show you what we're going to make today. This is the card we're going to make today, and let me show you the pieces we're going to use to make that. I'm going to use the Wintry 3D embossing folders, the one that is the snowflakes. It is absolutely gorgeous. I didn't have it. One of my customers got it and then showed me a card she'd made with it, and I fell in love and had to go buy it. So that's what we're going to be using. From the Whimsical Trees stamp set, I'm going to be using this one here with the ornaments. From the Stitched So Sweetly dies, I'm going to be using the largest rectangle. From Inspired Thoughts, I'm using Peace, Joy, and Love stamp thing. And then from Encircled in Friendship, I am using the smallest circle die, which is this one. Get it in the picture, huh? It's just this one. And I am going to be using the 1 1/4 inch circle punch. I'm also going to be using, for embellishing, the this ribbon, and it's, I wrote it down here somewhere, Simply Elegant Trim. Comes in gold and silver, and we're using some of the silver. And then we're going to be using a lot of different colors of blends pens, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. And then all the standard stuff. Colors, I am using Evening Evergreen cardstock, Basic White cardstock, Cherry Cobbler cardstock, Silver Foil, and the Tidings of Christmas 6x6 designer series papers. So let's just start building. This is the base card. It is the Evening Evergreen. It is cut 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I've shown this once before where sometimes you get that little ridge when you're cutting with your trimmer. If you just run your bone folder along that, it smooths it out nicely. We will fold this. I didn't score it. I just folded it. Got to be sure to keep that in the picture there. I have been struggling a little bit with my, I guess you'd call it my mojo or whatever, trying to come up with some more cards, and tomorrow is video day to have a video up, and I didn't have one ready, so I made myself get in here and start messing around. I'm sure that you have those times too when you just can't seem to get your creativity flowing. That's what's been happening to me the last week or so, but hopefully you'll like this card. I'm going to take these and attach them with Stampin' Seal, just flat on the front of the card. And they are cut 2 by 5 1/4. And so then when they attach to the front of the card, you can kind of decide if you have a direction. I think that looks better. And you're going to be leaving that 1/8 inch on the side and the top and the bottom with this first piece. It's going to go on just like that. The white piece I embossed with that embossing folder that I told you about. Well, you know, from one minute to the next, my brain don't work. Wintry, the Wintry 3D embossing folder, and it also gets attached flat, just side by side with the other piece. And this one's easy because you're just going to butt it up to the other piece, top and bottom, like that, and then it'll just automatically have the border. So that's pretty easy. Then, like I said, this piece is cut from the Cherry Cobbler, and it's the largest piece. I'm going to set that aside and bring in this white piece, because this is what we're going to stamp next. we're going to be using this, and I'm also going to be using the Evening Evergreen stamp pad. And the first one, I don't know if you can notice, but I'll show you. My ornaments got just a tiny bit askew. And so before I made this one, I was looking at my stamp, and it went like that on the pad. And so I've worked at straightening up these lines so that they will be straighter, because I actually had the stamp attached in a way that made it harder to keep straight. So we'll see if it gets any better with this one. And I am stamping it with regular ink because I'm going to color it with blends pens, and blend pens work perfect with the water-based inks and it doesn't smear. So that's why I'm doing that. And I don't always really care for the dark black. Now the first one is, oh, very crooked. Let's try that again. See if I can get this on here without it being, it's a little bit crooked still, but I'm going to live with it. And then I'm going to put this one on up tall like this, and then I'm going to put this one down here like this. And they don't have to be exactly the same. And I don't know if a little bit off kilter really matters. By the time it's done and you have the ribbon on there and everything, it kind of distracts from it. But I don't know. Now I could use my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, yeah, I could use that. That might not be a bad idea, actually. This piece was 2.5 by 3 5/8. So let's cut another one. 2.5 by 3 5/8. And you know what? I am going to bring in my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig that we used to have. I do still use that from time to time, and I could pull out the Stamp-A-Ratus, but to be honest, I'm not real sure if it will really do what I want, because I want to do, anyway, I'm just not sure it'll work. So I'm going to use this, and I know I can make this work, because what I can do, now that it's stamped, is I can bring it in here and make sure that it's square with the world, just like that. And I'm going to put it really close to the edge, just like that. That looks pretty straight to me. Let's find out what happens. You know, and you might as well see me make my mistakes, because we're all going to make them. And it's nice to know. I'm going to make sure that's dry. And I'm going to put this on here again. And I'm raising this one up. Catch that corner. You know, if you've been doing stamping for very long, you probably have one of these, but if you don't, I think you should find one. Okay. I try really hard to use all current products, but sometimes, let's make this one kind of in between those two. I think that looks pretty good. But sometimes there's just, I know that my customers are not 100% Stampin' Up. They go out and they look for the newest products, and they look for things that they can use, and you know, that's okay with me. And so if I have to use something that's been discontinued, I don't feel so bad. But I do try to stay primarily with current stuff, because I'm trying to sell things as well. And so I want you to see the current product and the latest things that Stampin' Up! Has. Okay, so now that looks pretty good, does it not? And that Stamp-A-Ma-Jig thing worked really, really well for this. Okay, Now I'm going to color this with various colors of blends pens. Now I will tell you the colors I'm using as I use them, but obviously the color choices are totally up to you. So I started with Cherry Cobbler, and I'm using, oh, not the brush end, too tiny for that. I'm going to be using the pen end, and I'm going to color in the centers of that ornament. And I'm doing all three of them the same. You could also get very creative and change the color on all of them, and that would be fine. And these are all the light. So that was Cherry Cobbler Light. Then I'm bringing in the, let's see what it says here, Flirty Flamingo, and I'm doing the Flirty Flamingo Light. And on this one, I think I'm going to use the brush end, and I'm going to put this around the Cherry Cobbler. Now remember to go very light. These blends pens, a very light touch, especially when you're trying to stay in the lines. They do tend to bleed just a tiny bit, so I start in the center and work out so that I don't get too far outside of the lines. Although I've been known not to worry about coloring inside the lines, you know, but there's ornament number one. Then the second one I did with Misty Moonlight Light, and I did the larger part, and again, oh, let's use the brush again. Not the band, but the opening part. And it gets quiet because I'm coloring. It's just what I do. This was supposed to be the light. Yeah, it is. Okay. Today was just a little bit chilly, about 33 when I got up this morning, and so just a little bit cold, and my husband was sleeping in, and I was chilly and needed to take a shower, so I just started a little fire this morning. I have a nice little tiny wood stove, takes the chill out of my house, and I've enjoyed my little fire today. But now it's kind of in the afternoon, and I've kind of got it maybe a little too warm. So now I am turning on the fan, trying to keep myself a little bit cooler so I don't work up a sweat just stamping. It's kind of funny. And so here we are. I don't know if you can hear that fan blowing. I hope not. But anyway, so this is Balmy Blue, Light Balmy Blue. So that did the band on that one. And then the last one I did with Highland Heather. And I'm going to do the band with Highland Heather Dark. And I'm not trying to separate out that band has two parts, and I'm not trying to separate that out. Nah, I'm not going to do that. And number 3. Like that. And I'll bring in the light and do the rest of the ornament with the light. Highland Heather. That's probably my prettiest combination, I think. But like I say, you can use whatever colors you want. If you wanted to be totally non-traditional, you could go with whatever colors you chose. Even lots and lots of wonderful colors in those blends pens to use, and I do love coloring with my blends pens. They leave such a nice finished look when they are done coloring. Now here's one of my things where I am going to bring in a non-Stampin' Up! Product. These are just glitter pens, glitter ink pens for coloring with. I've had them forever. They used to sell them at Costco, like packages of 20 or packages of 40 or something. They used to have these big racks, and they would have a spinner, you know, to hold them all and everything. Anyway, I still have them, and this is a silver glitter, and I'm going to use this silver glitter to color these toppers on the ornaments. I wanted them to shine like silver, because that's typically the color you see on those when you buy ornaments. And so I'm just coloring that in. I'm kind of being careful to color inside, not totally cover up my lines, because you don't want to lose that distinction. And it's not hard to do at all with these pens. There we go. There's that part. Then the next thing I did was I brought in my Wink of Stella, and no ornament should just lay flat. Every ornament should have a shine or a shimmer or a sparkle. And so I am putting some sparkle on my ornaments with the Wink of Stella. And they still hold their color, of course, and yet they still have that lovely little shimmer to them. So I'm experimenting a little bit today. I am using my new system with my cordless mic and my monitor, so I'm supposed to be able to kind of look up every once in a while and make sure I'm staying on the screen. I think I'm still getting used to actually looking, because I've worked so many months without them. And so I'll still sometimes forget to look up, and then I'll go, oh, I need to move. I'm not in the screen. So I apologize if that happens. I do try to keep it looking, staying in the picture. And I'm trying to do this on a shoestring budget. So one of these days soon, I have a list of all the things I purchased to do this with, to make videos with. So if you're new to Stampin' Up! Or new to doing this kind of thing, I'm happy to share. I know I looked around, and it was really hard to find anybody that would just give you a step-by-step and tell you what they used. It's like it's some big secret or something out there. And so anyway, I think I need a little more silver in these. That looks better. Okay, a little bit picky. Yeah. Okay, now this attaches to this flat. So just with regular Stampin' Seal. Did it again. There we go. And it fits perfectly inside that stitched rim. Just a tiny bit of a border. You maybe could have cut it a little bit larger, but this works. So that attaches to that. Then I cut a piece of this trim, elegant trim, and the piece that I'm wrapping around it is about 17 inches long, and I want to get it to stick to the back of this card. So I'm going to put a glue dot on the back here to hold it while I'm wrapping it around. And I'm using a glue dot because this thread is so fine that regular adhesive, it just wouldn't stay stuck. So I'm going to do that just like that. And this last piece I'll make sure gets stuck right in that glue dot as well. A little bit longer than I needed, but that's okay. Now this is going to go on the front of the card with dimensionals. I'm going to put one right over those things. That should be plenty. We'll bring the card back in and we'll put this right here. I'm centering it, top to bottom, side to side. Then I have another piece of that trim, and it's cut about 10 inches long to make the bow with. I just don't like trying to wrap and tie all at the same time, so I always make my bows separate, and then I just attach them. So I make my 2 bows, make 2 loops, overlap them like that. Keep the twist out of them if you can. Run it down through the rabbit hole and adjust it because that's not working like I want. Okay, and I just want to tighten it down. It's a little bit hard to get this to tighten down because it is a round thread. And so once I get it tightened down, I'm going to put a glue dot on the back to help hold it, and that'll help the bow stay tight as well. And it'll attach it to the card too. Okay, so there's the little glue dot, and I'm going to put it right over the center, just like this. And I think it needs another glue dot. I'm going to put another one underneath all of this, just like that. There, I'm happy with that. And then we can trim the tails, and it doesn't have to be super short. Just a tip, I have this ribbon on my scissors because these are my ribbon scissors, and I try to keep them sharp and not use them on paper so that when I go to cut a ribbon it'll actually cut it, and that's why it's got a piece of ribbon on the handle. It reminds me that it's for ribbon. Okay, there's that part. Then this is that die from the that's the die from the Encircled in Beauty dies. I used that to cut this out. I forgot to tell you that earlier. So yeah, this came from Encircled in Beauty dies, and I really wanted the silver, but I didn't want to stamp on the silver, so that's why I used the 1 1/4 inch circle punch. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment with the Evening Evergreen. It fits perfect on that 1 1/4 inch circle. And then I am going to attach that with Stampin' Seal as well. And just centering it on there as best I can. And it'll kind of cover up, it's going to kind of cover up these little dash marks that you see around the edge. Get that right, those little, it's going to kind of cover those up, but the best part of it still shows, which is what I was looking for. There we go. So I think that looks perfect. And this is going to go on with dimensionals. Now, there's a couple different things you could do. You could put it off to the side here and just create a little bit of an offset, or you can put it in the middle like I did with my original. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. If you did it this way, you could maybe add some sprigs to the side or whatever, but it's definitely going to go on with a couple of dimensionals. It just needs a couple. Oops, missed my garbage can. You can't see, but I moved it for a second and dropped those pieces right where the can usually is. Okay, so anyway, there is today's current catalog video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I love it when you leave me comments, and do share my blog with everyone. I'm hoping to continue to pick up subscribers. I have almost reached 400 subscribers, and I just love helping Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, anybody that's out there making cards, just to be inspired and have fun making creative things with ink and paper. Thanks for stopping by.